Vikings fighting in Canada? The Pope splits the world in half? The biggest race in history? Welcome to our historical journey through time, where we unveil the captivating story of the discovery of the Americas. Our voyage begins with the migration of the first humans to the North American continent via the Russo-Alaskan land bridge. From there, they dispersed and charted a course for the future. So, fasten your seatbelts, fellow history enthusiasts, as we dive into the epic race to discover the Americas. Our story commences during the last ice age, approximately 20,000 years ago. Picture this: the glaciers were retreating like an introverted turtle, revealing a land bridge known as Beringia. It was like nature's grand unveiling, connecting present-day Russia and Alaska in a way that made all the other bridges feel a bit inadequate. Talk about a once-in-an-ice age opportunity for migration, right? It's as if Mother Nature said, "Hey, I've got a surprise for you all. A land bridge to connect two continents. Enjoy your scenic walk across the icy expanse." Millennia later, around the year 1000 CE, Norse explorer Leif Erikson, like a true adventurer, set his sights on uncharted lands across the Atlantic. He sailed with a crew of brave souls and embarked on a journey setting foot on the shores of North America. Well, look who decided to join the party, is what one could imagine him saying, like he took a cue from Vince Vaughn in the movie Wedding Crashers, deciding to crash the continent-hopping scene. Leif Erikson and his fellow Vikings landed in an area known as Vinland, on the shores of North America. This landmass encompassed parts of modern-day Canada, a land teeming with untamed wilderness and endless possibilities. Now, here's where it gets interesting. The Norse, known for their ingenuity and resourcefulness, wasted no time establishing a connection between Europe and the Americas. They established settlements, most notably at a place called L'Anse aux Meadows in present-day Newfoundland, Canada. This was their home away from home, a testament to their audacity and willingness to explore the unknown. Little did they know they were laying the groundwork for a whole new chapter in history, leaving a lasting mark and planting the seed for future expeditions. The Norse settlements in Vinland were not grand cities, but rather small outposts, where they conducted trade, repaired their ships, and embraced the challenges of survival in a new and unfamiliar environment. However, like a fleeting visit from a distant relative, the Norse presence in the New World was relatively short-lived. Their settlements, while intriguing and remarkable, did not flourish into long-lasting colonies. The exact reasons for their departure remain somewhat inconclusive, though many historians believe the climate and conflict with the natives were the main reasons for their departure. Yet, the Norse exploration and settlement in the New World were like a spark in the darkness, igniting the imagination of future adventurers and explorers. They opened the doors to possibilities, demonstrating that the vast Atlantic Ocean was not an insurmountable barrier, but a gateway to new lands waiting to be discovered. So, as we reflect on the Norse settlement in the New World, let's raise our horns in admiration for their audacious spirit. Their presence may have been fleeting, but their impact on history is undeniable. The Vikings, with their seafaring prowess and unwavering determination, left a legacy that continues to inspire us to this day. Before we continue, a toast to Leif Erikson and his fellow Norsemen, all intrepid explorers. Skål! Now, for a fast forward, the era of the 7 Years' War. Hold on tight, we're about to dive into a conflict that would make even the most dramatic reality TV show look tame. Picture this: the 18th century, a time when empires clashed like unruly contestants vying for the ultimate prize, dominance over the riches and territories of the New World. It was a true battle royale, ignited fierce rivalries between the major powers of the time. It was like a massive, high-stakes game of Risk, where countries threw down their gauntlets and said, "I see your colonies," and raise you a naval blockade. The 7 Years' War was not just a battle between armies, it was a clash of empires and egos. A power struggle that spanned from Europe to North America, India, and beyond. It was like a never-ending game of chess with moves and counter-moves that kept everyone on their toes. It was as if the New World had become a playground for rivalries, and the colonial powers were determined to outwit and outmaneuver each other. It was a conflict that pitted nations against each other, each vying for their piece of the American pie. Grab your popcorn and expect things to get hairy as we dive into this thrilling saga laced with dark humor and cinematic flair. Enter the Spanish Empire. With their grandiose ambitions and penchant for conquering vast territories, they saw the New World as their ticket to fame, fortune, and perhaps even a siesta under the palm trees. Armed with their conquistador spirit, "Hasta la vista, baby," they shouted, charting their course across the Atlantic and Caribbean, leaving a trail of bewildered indigenous peoples in their wake. Not to be outdone, along came the Portuguese Empire, sailing alongside their Spanish counterparts, eager to claim their own share of the glory. They were like two rival siblings, fighting over the last slice of pizza. With a mischievous glint in their eyes, the Portuguese said, "I've got my eye on Brazil, my friends. It's time for some bossa nova and sun-kissed beaches." Meanwhile, lurking in the shadows like a master puppeteer, we find the Italian city-states. They may not have had mighty empires, but their influence in the New World was like an espresso shot of excitement. Italian explorers like Christopher Columbus, an ambitious dreamer with an affinity for sailing the high seas, were determined to prove that life is like a box of chocolates.
You never know what you're gonna get.
And boy, did Columbus stumble upon a surprise when he unknowingly encountered the new lands he had previously only heard of. As the Spanish, Portuguese, and Italian players danced their way through this historical stage, conflicts erupted, alliances were formed, and the lines between friend and foe blurred. It was like a game of musical chairs, with nations scrambling to secure their positions while trying to outmaneuver their opponents. Amidst the chaos, one could almost imagine a famous movie quote echoing in the background. Picture this: a Spanish conquistador, a Portuguese navigator, and an Italian explorer walking into a tavern, exchanging witty banter as they scheme and strategize. The bartender, the Pope, steps in to prevent his Iberian patrons from fighting over their conquests, averting an argument only for chaos to erupt as the British and French entered, and all the parties rushed to steal the beer kegs. The fierce competition and conflict between the Spanish, British, and French empires in their quest to discover and claim new lands. It was like a chaotic game of finders keepers, where boundaries were blurred, and the race for colonization resembled a heated game of tag. The Spanish, known for their thirst for gold and glory, set sail with grand ambitions of conquering new territories. They were like treasure hunters, scouring the seas and lands for the next shiny nugget to add to their collection. And let's not forget their love for dramatic flair, as seen in the less good Pirates of the Caribbean film. Yes, that one.
Ever claimed in the glorious name of His Majesty.
But the British, with their stiff upper lips and refined manners, had other plans. They had a knack for establishing settlements and were determined to leave their mark on the New World. It was as if they had a never-ending game of Monopoly going on, strategically placing their pieces on the board and saying, "We'll have this place, and oh, definitely that place too." Meanwhile, the French were not ones to be left behind in the race for colonization. They had their eyes on the prize and were like mischievous jesters, weaving their way through the cracks of the competition. They established alliances with Native American tribes, traded fur like it was going out of style, and played the diplomatic game with finesse. It was like a delightful game of cat and mouse, with the French cunningly sneaking into the picture and making their mark. But in the midst of this land-grabbing extravaganza, there were moments of dark humor. Picture this: rival explorers bumping into each other on uncharted territories, awkwardly exchanging pleasantries, while secretly plotting each other's downfall. It was like a bizarre episode of Survivor, where alliances were formed and broken, and everyone tried to outwit and outmaneuver their opponents. And let's not forget the occasional mishaps that occurred along the way: ships getting lost in storms, maps leading explorers in circles, and misunderstandings with indigenous peoples that would make you cringe. It was like watching a comedy of errors, with each party trying to navigate the uncharted waters while desperately trying to avoid a facepalm moment. But amidst the chaos, a complex web of history was woven. Borders were drawn, cultures collided, and the stage was set for a new era. The discoveries made during this intense competition would shape the course of history and leave a lasting impact on the New World. So, as we look back on the competition and conflict between the Spanish, British, and French empires, let's raise a toast to the audacity, ambition, and occasional hilarity that colored this chapter in history. It's a reminder that even in the most serious endeavors, a touch of dark humor can lighten the mood and remind us of our shared humanity. Here's to the wild race for land, where rival empires played a high-stakes game of tag and the New World became the ultimate playground. Today, the legacy of this race to discover the Americas lives on. It's like a giant potluck where everyone brought their unique flavors to the table. We have a rich tapestry of cultures, languages, and traditions that emerged from this collision, and it's as if the Americas had a giant sign that read, "Come on in." So they went, boldly venturing into the unknown, armed with nothing but a compass and an insatiable thirst for knowledge. They were like the original Indiana Joneses of their time, except instead of searching for mythical artifacts, they sought lands, resources, and a deeper understanding of the world. Their expeditions forever changed history, uncovering the mysteries of the Americas and revealing new wonders to the rest of the globe. It's like they turned on the lights in a dark room, illuminating a whole new chapter in history. So, let us raise our imaginary monocles and salute these intrepid explorers who challenged the boundaries of their time and left an indelible mark on the world we know today. Cheers to their courage, curiosity, and the intellectual feast they brought the modern world. Thank you for joining us on this adventure through time, and stay tuned for more enthralling tales from history on our channel.